Hello, econ friends. Welcome back. As we move through our discussion of elasticity, we've tackled the big two, the price elasticity of demand and the price elasticity of supply, which give us a lot more depth and nuance for how the law of supply and law of demand operate. There's a couple more ways that we can apply elasticity concepts. Let's tackle one in this video. This one, our third approach, is income elasticity of demand. Let's first define it. Income elasticity of demand, of course, it's a measure. And specifically, income elasticity of demand is a measure of how responsive quantity demanded is to changes in consumers' income. So again, income elasticity of demand, it's an elasticity measurement. It's comparing two variables. In the case of income elasticity of demand, we are measuring the responsiveness of quantity demanded to changes in consumers' income. Since we know our two variables, our computation is pretty straightforward. The coefficient, the elasticity coefficient, we call that E income, and it's going to be equal to the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change, and this time we're going to put a capital I for income. Okay, let's do an example and then we'll interpret what the example means, and then we'll get a sense of how we're going to use this measurement. In Singapore, public transportation officials determined that when the average income of people in Singapore fell by 4%, their use of public transportation increased by 1%. Okay, what is the income elasticity of demand? Well, let's first get our material straight. We know that our income fell by 4%. And as a result, the quantity demanded for public transportation rose by 1%. We know that our formula is the elasticity coefficient here is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change of income. That's going to be equal to 0.01 divided by negative 0.04. It's important here that we keep that negative sign in. Before, with price elasticity of demand, we just kind of got rid of it. But the positive or negative sign here is going to be critical, so you have to keep it in. And when we figure this, the answer is going to be negative 0.25. Okay, so we would say that in Singapore, given current income levels, this event, we calculate an income elasticity of demand of negative 0.25. And as I just mentioned, now that we have that measurement, we have to interpret it. For the interpretation and classification, the positive or the negative signs are really important, so keep them. And the interpretation and classification, this metric, again, the income elasticity of demand, allows us to determine if a good is an inferior good, a normal good, or a luxury good. We touched on that idea of inferior good versus normal good when we did our law of demand, and we saw how a change in income was going to shift the demand curve. This is actually the test that economists would use to determine if, in fact, a good is normal or inferior. So the basic idea here is for an inferior good, the coefficient of elasticity is less than 0. It's a negative number. And it means, as we said here, that income and consumption will go in opposite directions. Okay? So again, with an inferior good, the coefficient is less than 0, This implies that as income goes down, the consumption of the item goes up. This is by definition an inferior good. You know, note that inferior goods don't mean that the product sucks. It simply refers to the relationship between income changes and consumption. You know, so economic analysis suggests that potatoes, hot dogs, lots of other similar items, while delicious, are in fact inferior and are probably consumed more by people with lower incomes and will be consumed more by average people if their income falls. Okay. Normal goods, on the other hand, are defined like this. For a normal good, the coefficient is going to be greater than 0, but less than 1. So it's going to be a positive number. That implies that as income goes up, consumption goes up. Most goods, everything from apples and pears and fruits to new cars to everything in between, most items that we deal with in the economic world are going to be normal goods. You can also use this equation, if you have the data, to determine if a good is a luxury good. A luxury good is defined as a good for which the elasticity coefficient is greater than 1. Note that what this implies is that for a luxury good, the quantity demanded, right, the amount consumed, is increasing more rapidly. That's critical than income. Okay, it's not enough that as income goes up, people consume more. For a luxury good, you have to spend a bigger percentage of your income on the item as your income goes up. Another way to see it would be that for luxury goods, as income goes up, spending goes from essentially 0. If you have low income, you're not buying luxury goods. So as income goes up, for luxury goods, spending goes from effectively near 0 to steadily larger percentages of your income. So again, it's a technical definition. We see luxury goods everywhere, whereas, you know, new cars would be normal goods. Ferraris and Bugattis are the luxury goods. And again, the big idea here, it's not just that as you earn more money, you buy more of the item. It's that your quantity demanded, your consumption, is actually increasing more rapidly than your income. Or seen a different way, as incomes rise, you go, again, from consuming effectively 0 of the luxury good to increasing percentages of it as your income rises. Okay, that, my friends, is the the income elasticity of demand. We're going to use that positive or negative sign to determine if an item is inferior, normal, or luxury. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon.